One question that we get all the time, again, is how can I get more likes? How can I get more followers? On the various networks like Facebook and Twitter.
That's one of the most popular questions, and it's actually, quite frankly, the least irrelevant. Who cares about how many followers? Who cares about how many fans, likes, pins, retweets? At the end of the day, say, Duncan and I are great friends, and I had 100 friends on my cell phone, and nobody talked to me.
Yep.
So I got 100 names on my cell phone. That looks awesome, great, awesome, but nobody talks to me. So with those 100 names, I don't have any kind of relationship established with them. I don't have anything established with them. So where I'm going with this is, it's all about the engagement. I'd rather have 100 solid, good friends or fans or followers or whoever, but constantly, consistently talking with them, having them share my stuff, having them talk with me talking with them. Engagement in social media is the key word. If you have a high engagement, it means that you have activity, it means that you're talking. Engagement is exactly the same thing as if I was customer A and I walk into a showroom, my salesperson has now approached you and talking to you, starting to do the qualifying. That's called engagement. Mm-hmm. But if your salesperson was to sit in his office and not ever talk to the customer, how the heck would a sale ever get made? So think of social media like your online showroom.
That's a great point. Yeah, I guess if you have 100 people on the lot, but no one's engaging them, no one's talking to them, it doesn't really matter how many people are there. It's all about engagement.
100%.
Taking engagement then to the next level, what are some of the things people should be posting about, should be tweeting about? How should they go about it? How often should they go about it? Can you share some examples that you might have used when you were in the dealership, and what maybe some of the feedback you got was for that?
One example was, in Twitter you can set up your parameters, something which is called keywording.
Yep.
And you could say, having a bad day, YEG, hashtag, which is the airport code for Edmonton. A lot of people don't know what the heck these hashtags and all that's doing. Facebook now is starting to incorporate it, but on Twitter you could say, having a bad day, YEG. So then you could go to the stream, see everybody in your local market who says that, hey, I'm having a bad day. You could tweet to them a picture of a vehicle, you could tweet to them a picture of a funny joke. Because think about it, if I was somebody having a bad day and I had this dealership that was like, hey, Ryan, here's a picture of some socks, or I'm like, wow, they actually kind of care about me. That's pretty cool. Example, that a piece of content like that is huge, and you're showing the customer that you're not just all about the car and the sale, you're actually caring about them. And to me, that's where relationships start. Marketing has gotten really hard. The days of just buying up ad space and doing all this and expecting everybody to come in are over.
Yeah,
people and consumers have a high expectation, and they say, hey, if you're going to market to me, you need to market to me on my terms, when I want it and how I want it. Mm-hmm. So content is king. Context, though, is now God.
Yeah,
literally.
Good way to put it.
Because if you're putting content out there, great, but say now somebody says, hey man, I like your socks, this is awesome, then nobody replies. There's no context. Mm-hmm. So once again, if we put that into the showroom floor, customer comes in, hey man, I want that 2012 whatever, and he's all excited about it, and the sales guy's like, awesome, it's right there.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Well, how the heck, where does the sale happen? There's no context. Social media is exactly the same.
I like that. Content is king, context is God, though. And I think, one of the things I take away from what you said there is it doesn't have to be, about the truck or about the SUV or about the car. You can engage with them on a different level.
Exactly. Don't, out of 100%, only maybe 10% should actually be about your dealership and about your product line. 90% should literally be about socks, be about what you do for a living, be about your customer. Talk to your customer. Proven example, had a conversation with a girl on Twitter. We just for weeks, just having a chat. Hey, it's cold outside, just everyday conversation. Then one of her friends said, where's the best Ford dealership at the time in Edmonton? So she said, hey, check out those guys at Zender Ford.
Yeah.
But she only thought to say that because we'd actually been having dialogue with her at the time. So she actually said, hey, these guys are awesome. So most dealers might say, well, geez, 2-3 weeks, we're not getting anything out of this. This is a waste of time. It's like, this is not a sprint, it's a marathon. And it's here to stay. Mm-hmm. Whether you choose to get on now or later, you're gonna get on, because this is where your customers are. So be patient with it.
It's a great point. I think, this is here to stay. I think it's been proven that this is not a fad.
It's not a fad. It's not a fad.
Yeah, and I think I like what you said there at the end, especially, whether you do it today or you do it tomorrow, you're going to do it eventually. So you might as well start now and get good at it quickly.
Yeah, and the biggest thing is have fun, and You know, you see dealers doing all kinds of advertising. And I mean, one thing about me, and I want everybody to know this, is prior to being at the dealership, when I worked inside of one, I had zero automotive experience. So the first thing I did have a marketing background, but I got in and said, the way we're marketing is archaic.
Yeah.
Like newspapers and stuff. And you know, hey, if you're in a local area or a rural area, I mean, every place has its market. And I mean, I was located in Spruce Grove at the time when I was in the dealership, which is outside of Edmonton. The local community there reads their paper. So we want to have a presence there. However, you know, really assess if you're doing it just because that's the way you've always been doing it, or are you doing it because you just don't know how to tackle the new way of marketing?
Yeah, no, I think it's a great point. You know, how do you engage someone once they've interacted with you, and what your experiences with people were when it was a negative experience, and how you might have turned that into a positive?
So days prior to social media and online and all that stuff, if somebody came in, whether they're going out for dinner, buying some socks, I'll bring up socks a lot. We love socks, he loves socks. It's playful, it's fun, but whatever your purchase is, if it's a car, and you came in, you had the experience, and then you walked away and were completely not satisfied, what you would do is, most people are too embarrassed to really, say, hey, you suck to your face. Let's be honest.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
However, when they leave, they'll start blogging, they'll start doing their thing. How cool is it though that instead of that person just going around now and telling like their friends, their family how bad you sucked, which means that you're probably not going to get their business, you can actually step in via online and actually say, hey, what did we do wrong? Moderate the conversation. Show the customer that you care. Because if I'm on Facebook and say you got like thousands of fans and somebody puts, right on your wall, you guys suck, we came in and we felt like we were taken advantage of, whatever the context is, now you can actually respond. Now, those thousands of people are seeing that response. People can always tell the difference between a chronic complainer.
Yeah.
Because if you show due diligence and say, hey, sorry for the situation, how can we rectify it? You've now showed that you care. You've now showed and took accountability, and now it's really on the customer to say, okay, well, here's what I'd like to do. But you've still showed that that degree of care. Prime example, Facebook inside the dealership. We had an issue with somebody came in and said, hey, I feel like we weren't treated well because of the way we're dressed.
Yeah.
What a hot topic.
Yeah.
I mean, we hear that, you hear that a lot. My husband and I came in, we just felt like, we weren't treated well, and put that right on the Facebook. This was actually the third week I was there, and I'm like, oh, geez, this is not good. How to respond to that? So what I did is I said, okay, I forwarded her a link to our staff page. I said, please direct message me the person who made you feel this way.
Yeah.
Just imagine if you're a customer. The company sends you a link to their staff page. The first word that comes to mind is care, transparency.
Yeah.
I mean, these guys aren't messing around.
Yeah.
Point the person out, and we'll deal with it. So sent the link, and then she said, well, this happened 2.5 years prior. So let's go back to this. So now we talk about, she was holding this grudge for 2.5 years.
Yeah.
So then the moment we get on Facebook, she says, I'm going to find you. Like, that's huge. So anyways, we're talking to her, apologize. I actually said, hey, lunch is on us. Try to do whatever we could to make amends. Somewhere in the conversation, she said, by the way, my husband's interested in F-150. Came in, bought the vehicle, and I pinned the amount of time. From the time she complained to the time the vehicle was bought was about 2.5 hours. So dealers, if you're scared about negativity, don't be. Just be confident, figure out what the problem is, and just have fun with it.
It sounds like, address it immediately.
Yes.
And deal with it, don't hide from it.
Now, the one thing I like to say, because dealers are all about the sales, is if you were a fan on Facebook seeing that whole interaction, do you not think that maybe somebody else would come in and buy just by the way you reacted to that situation?
It's a great point. It's a great point. And we've seen a number of examples of general managers owning up to reviews on Google+.
Yep.
And eventually, having that person take down that review and post a positive review about their experience at the dealership. And I mean, to me, there's not much more powerful than that kind of a recommendation in the social media world.
Huge. And I mean, no matter what industry you're in, I mean, especially automotive, we all know what some of the cliches are, used car salesmen.
Absolutely.
I mean, the automotive industry has been around for years and years and years. And, You know, unfortunately, we have some bad stuff, but I mean, if you look at the average dealer, there's a lot of great and positive things going on. We just don't really do a good job of telling that side of the business. Usually we're, you know, on Troubleshooter or something.
Absolutely.
You know, like,
Absolutely.
and I mean, that's the way it goes, but be excited because you don't need TV to broadcast your story anymore. You have leverage. I mean, you talk about leverage. We are all on the same even playing field now. It's just who's telling the better story, using different platforms, and most of all, having fun and interacting with your past, present, and future customers.